Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Thursday, May 18th, 2023. And for Thursdays, we have happy hour. Today's scheduled guest is Jakey Cho. I think a lot of you guys here are absolutely excited that he's going to be here. And some of you guys have no idea who he is. So it should be fun. Get to introduce you to him for some of you. And some of you will get to get another peek, kind of like behind the curtain, so to speak, into what he's up to and how he does things. But I will have to say, he's not here yet, but I wanted to get the live stream started to respect your guys' time, make sure that we're not getting it started too late. And so it doesn't seem like maybe you're in the wrong spot. But as soon as he pops in, we'll make sure to get him added in. And, it's pretty casual here. So, whether it's a little bit bumpy when he first gets in, we do all the kind of like mic check and stuff like that. We'll get it all sorted out. So it'll be fine. So hopefully we'll be up to see him soon. In the meantime, because I had everyone listening in the podcast, in the audio only version, hopefully you guys are having a good run out there. The weather got weird last night, didn't it? It did, definitely, over here. It went from like being like summer. Well, the weekend was cold. The first couple of days of the week were hot. And then overnight, it got super chilly. It was in the 40s here in the morning. For me, when I went to the gym, keeping that leg day streak alive. And then afterwards, I went for my run. I had a super busy day, and I was just happy to get my run in. So hopefully you're getting yours in as you're listening to this. For everyone watching this on YouTube later, but not live, welcome to you guys as well. You guys are listening to the number one live stream to listen to when you're trying to figure out when you're going to do all those runs over Memorial Day weekend. Because, you're going to go to some barbecues, you're going to see some family, you're going to see some friends. Which day should you do the long run? I feel like you should do it as early on in the weekend as possible. Then you don't have to worry about kind of, do I have to refrain from enjoying myself too much at this barbecue or what? You want to be able to get that long run done and then enjoy the weekend. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that's what's going on for you guys. You got some time though. Memorial Day weekend's not for 2 weekends, so you can figure it out. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat, everyone. We got Sean Devlin says, "Hey everyone, quick hit ride on the Peloton this morning. Learning to love these tough interval classes." Sean, did you do the, did you have to do the, what's it called? The recall? Because wasn't there a recall for all the Peloton bikes? Like the seat post would fall off. Hopefully yours is okay. A lot of people here are waiting for Jakey. Hopefully we'll see him soon. But, sometimes, you get these things scheduled and life happens. And so you can't always make them happen. That's the difficulty of doing these things live, is that, you got to hope that everyone's schedules work out, and, real life gets in the way sometimes. Calvin did say, though, Kafuzi brushing up on his Korean real quick. I didn't. Because, I feel like Jakey would be able to see right through that. My Korean is real rough these days. I used to be pretty fluent. And I would say probably starting in like high school is when I stopped using Korean more in the home. I think probably maybe earlier than that too, but I feel like by like high school, I was like, I think we were ready to turn the page, guys. And so it was like less Korean in the home, but my parents still, I think to this day, a lot of times they still speak Korean to me and I respond back to them in English. So like, I'll follow along, but yeah, I will say though, well, I guess I won't, I can kind of say, I have some good news, but I'm not sure I can announce it quite yet. But before Tokyo, I thought that everyone in Japan would just speak English, especially in a city as large as Tokyo and in the touristy areas where we're going to be in Shibuya. Well, we were in Shinjuku. And but that didn't end up being the case. So I really regretted not trying to learn at least a little bit of Japanese. And so like since then I was like, well, what would I use? What like in 2023 do people do? Because like normally I'd be like, all right, I guess I'll buy like a textbook and like, study an actual book. But I'm like, no, well, there's got to be apps and stuff. So I started looking at apps. And then I just kind of like never went anywhere with it. But now I'm thinking that research is going to come in handy because this summer I will be going somewhere international. Not Japan, but it'll be somewhere else. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to brush up. I'm going to brush up on that foreign language. It is a language that I studied in college for a very short amount of time, for about a year. And, in college for me, that would have been like 25 years ago that when I took those classes. So I got some brushing up I got to do, but it should be fun. Once I have more like details to share, then I'll share it with you guys. That should be more fun. All right. Let's see. Plain old Ben says, "Hi all, I'm logged in for once." Well, thanks for logging in. You don't have to log in, all the time. I think you can come in. I think you can watch live streams as a guest. I think. I'm not sure. I know you can watch the regular YouTube videos. That's fine. Yeah, Steven C, says the one way that I can shorten the live stream to 40 minutes is by starting 20 minutes late. See, we've been taught, for those of you who haven't been around, or maybe missed the last couple of days, been trying to really work on the production value of this live stream. I feel like we built a good core group of people here with kind of like, all right, let's see how we can fill time. Right now, I want to really maximize that time. And so one of the ways I can do that, I think, is by shortening it. So I'm trying to keep the live stream a little bit shorter than normal, make it more potent, make it a little bit more punchy and enjoyable for everybody. And yesterday was day one of trying that. And I went, 5 minutes over, maybe a little bit more than 5 minutes over. But today I feel like I'm going to stick to it. We're going to do it. All right. James says, I'm not sure about this whole shorten it to 40 minutes thing. LOL. Here's the long-term strategy though. I want to shorten it to 40 minutes, have a solid 40. And then once I feel like, all right, this 40 is really good, and I have a reason to expand it to an hour, like I've got another segment that I want to do, then I can expand it. But, I think what I'm going to do is just try to make it more fun. Play more games, stuff that's a little bit more interactive for you guys to do. And also, if you guys have questions, I want to make I keep forgetting to do it, but every time I have questions that people ask me, whether it's on DMs or in YouTube comments, I want to turn that into a segment, and I'm going to call it Running Shoe Question Time. And then here will be the sound. Because, on radio shows, they got all the bumpers, in between segments, there's a pew, 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 pew. And now let's go to traffic, things like that. Here's what I'm thinking. When I see a question in the chat, I'll then switch to a segment of answering a bunch of questions. The prep that I would have to do is I got to get a whole bunch ready on the phone. But the way we switch over is all right, time to answer your running shoe questions. I don't know if that's the right sound. I just like that sound a lot. I grew up listening to that sound. But, so those are some of the things that I'm just, thinking about. So, yeah. All right, let me scroll down. Try to keep up with you guys in the chat a little bit. And Sean says it's a good idea. Great idea for the Q&A segment. Yeah, so I feel like, there should be a couple of reliable things that people can expect every day. And then other days, things switch out. Maybe we get a guest. Maybe we're opening a package, or maybe we're playing a game, So, yeah. Go running with Oliver says, no games. Let's just talk about anything Kipchoge. I appreciate Kipchoge a lot. He's pretty awesome. But I wouldn't say that I'm a fanboy. I don't really know everything about what's going on about him. I think my peak Kipchoge fandom was when there was that one documentary, and I didn't even see the documentary, but there was a documentary about him when someone was following around at his camp, and he was putting peanut butter on a slice of bread, white bread. And that just seemed really out of place to me because he's at this camp in Kenya at altitude, and there's white bread and peanut butter. Those seem like things that don't belong there, but somehow they were there. But anyway, there was it was a minor internet meme for a while. And I'm like, that was peak Kipchoge fandom for me, I think. All right. Steven C says, standard setup. You got to do weather, today's run, what came in the mail, dollars, track meets, and retro shoes. We already do weather and today's run. So that's pretty good. What came in the mail? I think that's good. Daughter's track meets, the track season's already over. And then I guess maybe she'll run cross country. We were looking through the Crystal Lake Park District summer camps. There's still some spaces available and stuff. And there was one that was a track and field one. And I was like, oh, maybe she will want to do that. But I'm like, I don't really want to be sending her to track camp. But it's not really track camp because it's at the local town park district summer camp, And then retro shoes. Yeah, I don't have enough retro shoes. Because remember, I only started collecting shoes, holding on to shoes, since we moved into the house. And we only moved in here last June, Ed Chen says, you got to set up the live stream like your run. Mostly easy and 1 hour-ish, but also throw in a weekly 3-hour long live stream and some short tempo live streams when you talk really, really fast. I think you're onto something. And I think that we can get into it exactly that way based on what we talked about yesterday. So I talked to you guys about my vision yesterday. Edward, were you here yesterday? I told you about my vision of having like a Kofuzi Run Club channel. Yes, there's a Kofuzi Run Club YouTube channel, but like a channel. And I was trying to explain it to my wife. Like it's just something that you can turn on and there's stuff on, like a television channel. And I was like, well, one day a week, we should just have like 3 hours of content. And then eventually, once we get some sponsors and stuff, we could turn that into like 2 days a week, more and more days a week, more hours until it just becomes like a network. And then I'm thinking it'll be like an old school TV channel where like at the end of the day, you play the national anthem. And then after that, it just cuts out. So, you don't have to be 24 hours, but that's kind of what I was thinking. That could be the long run. That's what we would even call it. Although long run, there's a lot of podcasts that use the word long run in it already, so I don't want to do that. But and then the tempo day could be guests, because usually I keep that a little bit shorter to try to respect our time. And then after that, then it's like, all right, bye. So that's what I think we could do. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't know when I'll be able to execute. I got to talk to some people, see who wants to do that or try it one time. Maybe we'll just try it one day. One day we'll have like me. Maybe Tommy will want to do it. You know who would want to do it? You know who loves talking like this? Robbie. Robbie would be in. I feel like I could sell Robbie on it. I don't know. Ed says, yesterday I was not here and this is blowing my mind. I would definitely keep the Kofuzi TV channel on in the background while I do my taxes and vacuum my carpets. I mean, that's what I'm saying. My wife was actually looking up like how much does it cost to like start an XM radio channel? And I'm like, I don't know. There's probably at least some sort of gatekeeping there. Like you probably can't just be like, it's not like a Subway where you could be like, I dropped down my 6 figures and here you go. I got one now. So I don't know. No. CV76 says we got to get Robbie with some beers on. I think that would work. Yeah, I just think that'd be fun. And then Eric says the Kofuzi Run Club channel just shows pictures of cornfields between midnight and 6 a.m. I think, come on, Eric, this is runners we're talking about. So it's more like 9 p.m. to 4 a.m. That's when it would be off. Yeah. Sleep Singer says, curious, why are the happy hours on Thursday and not Friday? It used to be boozy. Like during the pandemic, it was boozy. And when I lived in Chicago and I never drove anywhere, I could, it didn't matter if I had a couple of drinks. Now I'm in the suburbs and I have to drive everywhere. So it's kind of weird to have happy hour at 1 p.m. in the afternoon now. But a lot of happy hours are on Thursdays because for like bars, Friday's already a busy day. Thursday is not as busy a day, but people are getting excited and you want to draw people in with deals. So that's why like happy hours are on Thursdays a lot. Ladies' night's usually like Tuesday or Wednesday or something, Obi Run says, this is similar to binging with Babish. I don't know why I said it that way. Turning into Babish Culinary Universe. He added in a bunch of other chefs. I mean, I feel like this could be good. I feel like here. All right. Here would be my dream. Not mean a dream team, because I have a dream team list, I think. But I feel like these people are all too busy. They wouldn't want to do it. But maybe they would want to do it like once a week for an hour, once a week for 30 minutes, Whether they'd be good on live streams, I'm not sure. I'm sure they would be. I don't know why they wouldn't. But I think it'd be fun to have like Robbie on here. Thomas already talks a lot on the internet, but I could always go with more Thomas. I feel like Megan Featherston would be awesome too, but I feel like people would actually call in with like a bunch of questions and it would get really detailed real fast. Which would be good for them, but not as always interesting for me. But that would be a good one. I'd like to get some like very different perspectives too. I mean, we talked about 40 yesterday. 40 would be fun to have on. I know half of you guys wouldn't understand them. I wouldn't understand them, but there is a British contingent. They would understand them. I hope. You know. So I would like to get some people that edit videos, not like just make them, but maybe some editors. All sorts of people in the different parts of the business. That's kind of what I would want to do. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, Daniel Burton says get Seth on here. I would love it. I would love to, but I feel like he does his own live streams, but he doesn't do it regularly. And I'm guessing because he's just too busy. So Mass Runner says the multiple shootubers channel has never been done for what I know. Some non-shootubers like Seven Super use 7 people, one each day for content with a similar editing. Well, that's interesting. I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, but I mean, like, that sounds to me like that was like was it their main content? Or I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Just spitballing here, brainstorming. Calvin says, Jakey's in the chat. Oh, is he? I didn't see him in there. What's going on? Is he here? I'm looking. Let me see. I haven't gotten any emails, and let me check my Instagram real quick. I haven't seen anything from there, so I don't know. Is he in here? I haven't seen him. Oh, Jakey, what's going on, man? Are you all right? Jakey's here in the chat. What's going on? Yo, if anyone has questions for Jakey, bring them on in here. Maybe we can get him in. Jakey, do you need me to send you the link again? You can join in, dude. I got the invite link right here. Yeah, give me a second, guys. I'm gonna try to get him in here. I'm gonna send it to your DM. Sorry, guys. It's just taking a second. All right. So I got him in there. So maybe he can join. He says he's good. All right, man. Well, good to see you. Master says he's sensing a fake Jakey. Is it? I don't actually know what his YouTube avatar looks like, but that is a Jakey picture. So we can see. Alan Lou thinks when Jakey gets here, we go straight into the how big of a disappointment are you to your parents question. He's the one that kind of inspired the question, really. So that's why I really wanted to have him on. So, so we'll see. We'll see if he's here. Eliza needs to know the current best New York bagel place and what spread with it. See, I think, I'm not the best. Jakey would be the best one. Oh, here we go. Here he is. Yo, here he is. What's going on, man? How are you?
How's it going, sir? My apologies to you, to your community, for running 24 minutes late. I had no idea how to work this thing.
No worries.
I never went on YouTube live before, so it was like I was like, wait, what am I doing here? Like, do I try to? Is there a button that I thought? Yeah. So my apologies, man.
We're good to have you here. We're happy to have you here. How are you?
Doing well. It's been a tumultuous day, to say the least. I think I have an ear infection, so I was waiting at a City MD for like 45 minutes, and and now I'm home. Had to handle some stuff with family and work, and now I'm on this live, and I'm honored to be here, man.
Awesome. Well, for some of the people that might not know you, I let everyone know you were coming on yesterday, and I put down some links so people could check you out. But you're a man that it's kind of hard to describe, like, in one sentence what you do. I thought the easiest way for my audience would be say you're a brand ambassador for On Running, but that's just one of many things that you do. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody?
Yeah, No, for sure. I mean, I think for your audience, that would make the most sense, but it could also simultaneously make the least sense because I'm probably the least qualified in terms of running capacity, right?
Right.
But I have the fortunate, uh, this relationship that I have with so I'm able to be around these world-class runners that I
Mhm.
can't even probably keep up with them for like a quick 5K, but I'm able to be around these folks and see what they're able to accomplish. So I'm very humbled by that. So I think that's a good way to introduce myself to your community.
Very cool. Very cool. I would say that the first time I found your content was probably on TikTok during the pandemic. And you were doing a lot of like things. It was like when like things in my parents' house that just make sense was going around. And it was just like, oh, I don't even see the stuff in my parents' house, but I remember it in my grandparents' house, like back in Korea. And I was just like, this is amazing to see this kind of content. Cause I'm like, it's not like I hadn't seen it before or I hadn't seen it on the internet before, but it was presented in such a new, interesting way that I was just like instantly like, this is it. This is like really, really great. Um, yeah, TikTok was that like kind of when you blew up as a creator with kind of like that line of posts?
Yeah, I think I first had a spike in TikTok in 2020 when I was making a lot of
Mhm.
cooking videos during
Mhm.
the midst of the pandemic.
Mhm.
I'm not a trained chef or cook. I never worked professionally in the hospitality industry, but that opportunity gave me, like, opened me up to a whole new audience. And
Mhm.
once I was able to amass an audience through my cooking videos, I've decided to use that platform to start highlighting local mom and pop eateries. And that was the genesis of a series that I have called Righteous Eats, where
Mhm.
we highlight POC owned and operated eateries in New York City and beyond. Um, yeah, I think it was a culmination of that throughout 2020 and 2021. And then in 2022, I was told myself, hey, I want to become a full-time content creator. And the first like home run during that month of January was me highlighting all the random things in my parents' house. Yeah, and now we're here. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
18 months later.
Yeah.
Well,
That's so
I guess
amazing.
not even 18 months. It's about to be 18 months, right? Because it's about to be June soon. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a really wild and fast ride. Do you feel like it was a fast ride for you?
I don't think it was a fast ride for me because
Mm.
it's been a steady grind. Because I know with platforms like TikTok and the advent of these different mediums that are coming up all the time, like now you have short form videos. I've seen people grow in terms of their following, 0 to like 1 million in the span of 2 months, and then they disappear. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
so I don't think like my case is necessarily fast or slow. It's just been like steady, which I would
Okay.
say is I'm assuming it's been a very similar trajectory for you on YouTube, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a little bit more protracted and not quite as big of a bump as you've seen. But for a lot of people, it looks on the outside like, oh, where'd this guy come from? And I'm like, dude, this is like my 1,400th video, So like I've been doing this for a little while, but it's just been really quietly in a little corner of the internet, and the corner gets like a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger at a time.
100%. I mean, that's exactly what it is with running, right? It's like
Mhm.
compounded
Yeah.
progress,
Yeah.
eventually leads to success. And
Mhm.
you're not going to go off and do a marathon right away, even though I kind of did without training last year. But I think that's the beauty, the meritocracy. There is a form of meritocracy here, whether it's social media or
Yeah.
running. It's like the more shots you take, the more results you're going to get. And you're gonna miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So,
Right.
yo,
All right.
man, applause to you. I mean, I see you always showing love to me, but I realized that I never really reciprocated that, or at least I should have been. But and I'm learning so. I mean, after you reminded me about this live, I kind of did a bit of a deep dive into all the content you've been posting on YouTube, and you're definitely at the forefront, at least when it comes down to running creators. It seems like you have carved out a very strong niche, my brother. So
All right, thank you.
congratulations to you on that.
Thank you very much. I have a really good group of people that have been supporting me, the people that have been watching and commenting and following for years. And so it's a good like nucleus of people that helps make it like easier to, as you kept growing bigger and bigger and face different challenges to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the comments and it seems like these are regulars that check in on
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of chat going on. You could see it in the chat, but like, they're all talking to each other. They're not even talking to us,
That's
because
when
they
you
come
know
out.
the community is real, man. You know?
Right. Right. So, and that's always great for me to see too. Let's talk a little quick though. Like you went from like making like cooking videos, stuff at your parents' house, like basically like Korean American culture. And then I remember seeing like he's doing stuff with On. I'm like, well, how did that happen? Oh my God, I don't even understand. Can you
Yeah.
like help fill us in on like how you go from I want to be full-time content creator to like now I'm an On brand ambassador?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. So my relationship with On actually started before I became a creator. So I have a
Mhm.
physical store. I have a retail boutique called Alumni where we sell. It's a lifestyle boutique. So
Mhm.
we have like a Nike account, we have Adidas accounts, we have like sneaker accounts, but not necessarily in the performance space, right?
Mhm.
And I think it was around 2018, a brand representative from On Running reached out, who we've had rapport before, that hey, I just started working with this Swiss brand called On, and are you guys interested in putting in an order?
Okay.
um, I saw the products and I was like, wait, I seen this logo at the running specialty stores. For the
Okay.
longest time I thought it was like OC, so I
Yeah.
thought it was like
Yeah.
affiliated with like opening ceremony or something, like
Okay.
I had no idea it was supposed to be pronounced On. So we put in a very small order. I think back in like the end of 2018 or early 2019, and we were one of the first retailers, or at least in the lifestyle space, uh, lifestyle retail boutiques that started a business relationship with On. And during that time, On had one official like employee in New York City, this gentleman by the name of David Kilgore. He was a tech
Yeah.
rep, and he's
Mhm.
obviously a world class, long distance runner,
Mhm.
an
Yeah.
animal. You know what I mean? But he was a tech rep for them, and he started coming by the store, and we just started having these community runs. Um, so I got introduced to, I guess, like more in the space of community running, because at our store in Queens, in Flushing, Queens, we have a run crew called World's Fair Run Crew. Uh, and we started doing these Wednesday runs. I believe it was like 2019 or so,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
And David started showing up, and we started doing these collaborative like activations, and like having like testers.
Mhm.
And throughout 2020, we donated, along with On Running, we donated about like 1,500 or more pairs of sneakers at a local hospital that is a hospital that I grew up around called Elmer's Hospital, which was the ground zero for COVID at the time. This was like
Right.
2020. And we
Mhm.
donated like 1,500 pairs of sneakers. On basically donated all the pairs. We helped facilitate that. And then in 2021, we did collaborative projects with a local museum called MoMA PS1. So I was always like in this On like circle as they were developing, brand awareness in local market like New York. And that relationship just kind of organically merged as I was stepping foot into this realm as a creator. And
Okay.
members of their marketing team saw what I was doing, not as a retail store owner who has an On account, but as an individual creator. And at the end of 2021, the marketing lead at the time basically asked me like, yo, like, would you be down to work with us on a longer capacity, without really identifying what that role entailed. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I'm not even gonna lie, like around the same time, like Nike asked me like, yo, would you be down to do something with us? And I kind of went back
Okay.
to On as like, yo, Nike wants to flirt, you know, like you try to date, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all right.
And On was like, yeah, sure, we try to date. So like, yeah, so that's pretty much how my relationship as a brand ambassador started with On.
Okay. Yeah.
You
So,
know,
I mean, another example of like, to me, it looked like, oh, out of nowhere, here comes this thing. But you've been putting in the reps for years already, and you had already been deeply involved in some activities with them.
100%. Yeah. It wasn't like a random, like, hey, this
Yeah.
guy with the bucket hat in Queens talking about food, like, let's work with him, you know, like,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
it was a relationship that was built up towards that particular, you know, this form of
Yeah.
partnership.
How nervous were you? And we'll get to a question from the chat in a second, but let me ask you this. Because like, you know, you've been running. I've been seeing you. You were in Colombia at altitude, running up the
Yeah,
stairs.
yeah.
You know, you went to Kenya, you know, you went to Boulder with OIC, you know, like you've been running, but like, how hard was it for you to be like, all right, I'm going to step into this role as a running shoe brand ambassador when like running is probably not like, of the many things you do, it probably isn't in like the top 3 of the way that you might introduce yourself. You know what I mean?
That's a very good question, because my girl always like makes fun of me. Like, she's just like, yo, son, you don't even run like that, you know what I mean? Like, and I think my position with On is, you know, they have world-class runners. You know, they work with these talents and that dedicate their entire lives to running. I think the value add that I bring is something different, that, you know, I'm not somebody who's talking to people about my splits. You know, I don't have Strava turned on every time I go for a jog. You know, like, I'm not trying to like win any races in particular. I'm like, I guess I kind of fit into the demographic that everyday casual runner who has this metropolitan, almost like an Epicurean approach to life, who appreciates all the joy, the hardships, and the excitement behind running, but, you know, might not be like doing track work on Monday mornings. You know what I mean? Like, so I
That's
think I
wonderful.
kind of fit into that category of runners who kind of understand the intersection of fashion, lifestyle, culture, but also have deep appreciation and respect for the running community.
All right. That's awesome. Cause it's like, I think it could be super tempting to be like, oh, well, now I got to start becoming this other thing. So I match better. But like, you kept true to what you were doing. And I think that made the partnership that much more unique and also like beneficial for both sides.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand your value add. You know, what is my value add? Like, hey, I'm never going to be able to do what some of these guys are doing. You know, I'm just not built that way. I wasn't, you know, and I got some thick ass legs, man. You know? Like,
I seen you in the on shorts. You look good. You look good
yeah.
though.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I try my best, you know, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. I've been slacking a little bit because of some
Okay.
travels recently,
Yeah.
but I try my best. But I know that there's certain things that I provide a value that other people can't, and vice versa. So
Right.
I try to lean into what I know well.
Okay. All right. Well, you know, and there are a lot of things, you know, I'm going to go to this question from Calvin. He wants to know, because you've had a like basically a lifetime of other careers too. And so Calvin wants to know, what was it like when you interviewed BTS? Did you have to prepare a lot beforehand or try and take it in as you went? Like, that's like, I mean, that's going to be like a bucket list interview for a lot of music journalists. And you got the interview, you know, tell us a little bit more about that.
100%. Yeah, like, I had to do a lot of research, man. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I didn't really know their music that well. I mean, when that
Okay.
opportunity was presented itself, like,
Mhm.
it was, it's, you know, also because I've been removed from the music journalism world for quite some
Mhm.
time. So
Mhm.
it was a blessing, to say the least, but I just wasn't fully prepared. So shout out to my homegirl, shout out to my homegirl Bora. She's a huge BTS fan with a huge community of her own. She had to fill me in on a lot of the questions. You know, we had to go back and forth through a lot of edits
Mhm.
to make sure that I asked the right questions that appeal to the entire army. That's
Yeah.
code
Right. Right.
name for
Yeah.
BTS's gigantic international fan base. But also like, I didn't want to kind of give them cookie cutter questions. I wanted to hit them with questions that maybe a Korean journalist in Korea might not be able to ask, just because of the cultural nuances. Whereas me coming in from an American perspective, especially me coming in from a hip hop journalist perspective, like I could be asking them stuff about like, would you ever be down to do like a collab with a reggaeton artist? You know what I mean? Like, so these are the type of angles that I felt like I was trying to convey, and many people in the BTS's army community really resonated with that. And I'm very I'm humbled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool. Let me ask you, because you recently went back to Seoul, and like but you were born there and you went to school there, right?
I did not go to school there. I actually went to like kindergarten, where like I guess like daycare. And then my first grade was, I started my elementary school in China, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so I lived in China before my family immigrated to the States when I was about 9.
Okay. So when you go back to Korea though, do you feel like people see you there as a Korean or as an American when you go back?
That's a very good question, because I think about 10 to 15 years ago, I guess I would say closer to like 14. Yeah. Like about a decade ago, it was still pretty like noticeable. Like if you're from the States, for those of your audience that might not know the term, but kyopo means any Korean that doesn't live in Korea, but is part of the diaspora. Like, about 10 years ago, like appearance, maybe your body movement, like whatever it may be, like a local Korean could identify, okay, this kid is not from here. You know what I mean? Whereas now, as of recent, there's like, Korea has, evolved so rapidly within the last decade, even, whether it's appearance, you have like an influx of international students who has had, life, like experiences in America. So I don't think it's no longer an anomaly for like a Korean American to be in Korea anymore. And plus, like people with facial hair, which was a little less common in Korea, maybe even 10 years ago, has become a lot more common. Now I go over there, man, I see like kids with face tattoos, like, all types of wild shit that I was like, oh man, I didn't expect Korea to get here any like this soon. But you see all those examples now. And if anything, like, I think like my parents that live in America in their own bubble, in many ways, they're more conservative or old school about their approach in life than, folks in Korea. You know what I mean?
All right. I could see that. Your parents, are they still in Queens? Is that where they're at?
They're still in Queens. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. My parents are in Bergen County, just on the other side of the bridge.
Got you.
So whenever I go back, sometimes we'll stop in Queens, depending on which airport I go into for lunch on the way home.
Right.
But yeah.
You live in Chicago, right?
Yeah. I'm on the suburbs now, but yeah, we live, but like for me, like I don't know. My Korean is nowhere near as good as yours anymore. And like whenever I even just go to like the Hanadam or the H Mart, like I don't get a greeting in Korean. Like they're just like, "How's it going? How are you?" I'm like, I don't even get like, I don't even get that. Like I could at least hold up that part of the conversation, but I'm like, all right, well, fair enough. I think he spotted me. You're right.
I don't think it's even that. I think with H Mart, in H Mart in particular, I would say that that supermarket chain in general just has become so Americanized, and they are courting a whole new wave of audience that a lot. I've noticed like the H Mart in 32nd Street in New York City in Manhattan, like the staff, they're not even Korean, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. I noticed many of them are like from like Himalayan countries like Nepal and places like Tibet, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh shit, like, H Mart has really become, I guess, more globalized, or I guess more corporate Americanized, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just like a grocery store now,
Yeah, it's just like I guess maybe not in the same caliber as a Walmart, but more like
Mhm.
was like it's like Western beef. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So before I go, I'm going to try to not drag on too long for today, but like what I've been doing every time I have on, like I've been trying to bring on guests for happy hour for these live streams who are creators in the space. And every time I bring on an Asian creator, I always ask them the question, basically, how disappointed are your parents in your job
Mm,
decisions?
that's
So I'm
very
going to throw, I think I know the answer to that for you because you've talked about it before and you're
yeah.
actually the inspiration for that question. And I'll explain it, but
Oh wow.
um, tell me about like your parents and what they think about what you've done, especially because you've had quite a ride of different jobs in like non-traditionally Asian types of positions.
Right. I think that's a good question. I think um I think at the end of the day, they want you to be self-sufficient.
Mhm.
And as long as you're self-sufficient, I think they want the best from you. But and you know, do they understand exactly what I do? I think that's still a very big question mark.
Mhm.
Um, but they also just need to see the proof of concept, like whether it's a physical store that they could point at while driving down Northern Boulevard and tell their friends, like, yo, like, that's my son's store.
Yeah.
Whether it's like you getting a coverage in like the local Korean newspaper so that they could, scissor it out and then put it
Mhm.
on the fridge. Like they
Yeah.
need like that tangible proof of concept in order for them to know and understand that this is a real thing that you're doing. And being self-sufficient, like um yeah. So was I a disappointment? I'm sure I'm still a disappointment, in many ways, but I think at the same time they're very proud as well. Like
Yeah.
for instance, like for the Lunar New Year, like my family is extremely traditional, like
Mhm.
to the point that my friends in Korea look at it like, yo, like even my parents don't be doing shit like that,
Right. Right.
and one of the things that we hold very dear to our heart as a family is this ceremonial rite called cheza, where we have like a spread for our ancestors, and we do this whole ceremony. Um, for like this Target ad, I had my family featured for one of their like Target's Lunar New Year cultural ads, and
Yeah.
I basically had my entire family involved in this shoot, and
Mhm.
we did this Cheza ceremony um, in a room full of non-Koreans, like
Yeah. Yeah.
and that ad was running on YouTube, and my parents were very like, they share that shit with all their friends in Kakao
Right.
Talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
still don't fully get what I'm doing, but they know they
Yeah.
see these results, these tangible
Yeah.
results. And I think those like moments of brilliance kind of allows me to have more bandwidth to kind of do what I do without like my mom calling me to ask me like, yo, what exactly you're doing again? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like it gives me a little bit more time span for me to just
Yeah.
keep doing what I'm doing without them like concerned or worried, checking in, providing their
Yeah.
insight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing that and giving us a little bit more context to it too, because I remember it was an earlier TikTok where you were talking about like, it was like when you started to pay for some of your parents' bills, you were talking about that a little bit. And I've always thought that, I see that a lot in Korean culture and that seems really like onerous to me. But you kind of reframed it as it's not so much the money of like, I'm paying my dad's cell phone bill or whatever, but it's just the idea that like you are stable enough and you have been raised well enough that you're able to now give back, and provide for the parents. That's just a signal to them to let them know that like whatever it is that you're doing, it's making enough money, it's stable enough, it's comfortable enough that you can kind of like take care of more of just like your bare necessities. And I was like, all right,
100%. Yeah, yeah, totally.
yeah,
Totally.
that's an
Yeah.
interesting perspective. And I never thought of like what I previously thought of as like of a big burden as that kind of just signaling function.
Totally. I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of our Korean Americans parents expect as normal
Hmm.
is some of the hardest things to achieve. right?
Yeah.
Being normal is like, yo, getting married, having a kid, raising a family. Like, if somebody dies in your cipher, like you go to their funeral and give them the envelope and money. If like your friend gets married, go to the wedding and give an envelope. Like
Right.
envelope culture is very synonymous with Koreans. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
having, and if your parents are sick, being able to take care of them, like if somebody asks you for money, like being able to lend a hand, like these are all things that they say that these are normal, like this is like the barrier of entry. But if you really live through life, you realize like what many might consider as normal is actually a gargantuan task of its own, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for us to be able to pass through those hurdles and continuously do what we do, I think it's the biggest signifier for them that, okay, I still don't know what the fuck you're doing. I still can't like flex to my friends,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're doing something right, and you're okay.
But it is nice though that you got them that Target ad though, because that's something they could screenshot that and they could just, I mean, they could even make it like their profile photo in Kakao Talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that
totally.
you got to give them a little nugget. Like for my mom, it was like one time we were going for a walk down in Fort Lee, and we're going down in this park, and it's a big downhill, and I see this guy. It's the middle of the day, like on a Tuesday, and there's this guy running up the hill. He's huffing and puffing, and I see he's working hard, and because I could see how steep this hill is, and he looks at me as he goes by, and I go, looking good, just give him some encouragement. And then like a second later, we can hear him like stop and like pat, 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 pat. He comes back and he goes, "Are you Kofuzi?" And I'm like, and we have a little conversation and we say hi and everything, and we take a selfie, and then he goes. And that was the first time my mom had ever seen like that kind of interaction happen.
Right.
And she was like, "Who is that guy?" I'm like, "I don't know." It's like, "You don't know him?" "No." "How does he know you?" "From the internet." She's like, "Oh, okay, you're famous." I'm like, "Kind to some people, yeah." But it was like,
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
for me, it was like one of the first times I was like recognized, like outside of, I wasn't wearing running clothes and I
Right.
wasn't at a race. Like that's like in context that makes sense,
Do you
but like
ever purposely wear running clothes now after that interaction just so you could get recognized more? Like my girl
no,
always makes fun of me. It's like, yo, do you purposely wear bucket hats so more people recognize you?
that's so funny. No, I don't do that. I don't do that anymore. Like out here, like we're out in the suburbs. We're in the far suburbs out here now. And like I'm just some like a random Asian dude out here, and I'm good,
Right,
and
right,
I'm good
right.
with that. I'm fine with that. Like it's better that way. Then I could just be incognito, regular dad life. And then when I'm around my people, then I could be around my people. So
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, but those type of interactions are very meaningful to our parents. Like I've
it, it
had similar.
it really was like, I feel like
Yeah,
that was like her. I feel like she was talking about it in the group chat. I feel like after that.
yeah, totally, man, totally. I mean, and once you understand that their time that is left on Earth is finite, and
Mhm.
every day they are like literally one step closer to them going back to the essence, essentially. Like you want to kind of present them with more of those like moments of joy. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
as much like differences that I was just on a call with my mom earlier today, and I was like just arguing with her about something that I feel like is so trivial, but for her it means the world. And and they have like this emotional blackmail over us, man. Like it's like you always feel bad after you have
Yeah.
those type of combos with them, and
Yeah.
of course, like I already know I'm gonna apologize and try to like make it up to her. But yeah, man, what can we do, right? You know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're wise beyond your years, and you're a very good son. I gotta tell you. Um, Let me tell you one thing before I let you go for today. Because I don't want to keep you on too long. I really appreciate your
No, no,
time.
dude. Like I'm late, so like if I could be of any service, if I could
Yeah,
be helpful, please let me know. I'm good to go, man.
cool. The last subject I want to talk about was you were just in LA for the running track meet.
Yep.
Um, One of my friends, Allie Feller, was also there. I think you got a chance to meet her. You posted a reel of her using the t-shirt cannon.
Yeah. Ali, she was fun, man. She's dope.
Awesome. She's been telling the story about the t-shirt cannon, saying that she embarrassed herself out there. She disappointed the crowd with it. Like, was it as bad as she says, or like, give us a lowdown on like what went down with the t-shirt cannon?
I think the t-shirt. I don't think anybody there had any prior experience operating a t-shirt cannon, so it was all of us collectively popping our t-shirt cannon cherry together. So like it wasn't Ali's fault that
Okay.
we didn't know how to properly load it up, and also it
Okay.
was a wide open field, so
Yeah.
there was like wind, and like I don't know. I don't know if like when you go to any of these spectator sports games, if you have like people, maybe it's because it's an enclosed environments that these t-shirts go further, but yeah, like it's like playing badminton or something. Like the wind comes, and then if the t-shirt wasn't folded correctly, it waves off. And
Okay.
yeah, so I give Ali, as somebody who was present with her during that day, and I actually even drove her to the actual stadium.
Okay.
Yeah, she is saying the correct. There's no lie to her experience.
All right, but it wasn't her fault. It's not like she messed it up. It was a difficult.
Yeah. It was just something that we were all figuring out collectively.
Okay. Okay. Now you'd hinted earlier that you did some running during the New York Marathon last year, and you didn't run the race, but you did your own 26.2.
No, I did run the race. So
okay. I thought you did. I thought you did like a separate course or something like that.
No. So what I did was March of last year, I walked it. So just so I could get familiar with it.
Got it.
And then I actually luckily got into the New York Marathon, thankfully, and then I ran it, but I kind of crashed after like 13 miles. As soon as we got to Queensboro Bridge, I was like, "Yo, I'm fucking done." Like I can't, and then I had to walk and jog and walk. And when you get off like first half, that's when like everybody's like flashing cameras, so you're trying to like run as much as you can, and like you're just like, "Fuck this shit, man!" Like so, my goal was after like walking into the Bronx. My goal was just to finish. Like I was like, yo, I'm done. You know what I mean? So yo, big shout out to anybody and everybody that really trains for that moment. I mean, it wasn't that I underestimated, the titanic, weight of finishing a marathon, by no means. It was just that, like I just, frankly speaking, I just didn't properly train for it. And, I got my ass kicked. But I will say, though, like, maybe it's because of, like, these thick calves that I have, man. Like, the recovery was rather soon, man. Like, 2 days later, I was back, doing the light 5K. So,
what shoes did you run in?
I actually ran in the Monster. And it was I don't know. I kept telling my folks that it was like the first wave of Monsters that I received, the sole wasn't as cushiony. But this particular Monster that I ran in, the sole was kind of reminding me of their competing like company. Like it was kind of reminding me a little bit of the Hokuso. It was it felt like I was like really like just moving on clouds, you know what I mean? So that works for me on long runs, I'm not trying to like, you know what I mean? I don't need like plates and all of that. Like I just need like cushion,
Yeah. All right. Well, Calvin says that this is a classic first marathon experience you had, and Seatown fan said, you finished. That's the accomplishment.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Leona wants to know, would you do another marathon now that you have one under your belt?
You know what's so funny, Leona? As soon as I was done with it, I was like, yo, I want to do another one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
Real, like,
nice.
As soon as I was done with it.
Do you happen to remember if because Ali Feller is like a race announcer, she's at the finish line in a lot of races.
Right.
Do you remember if she announced you when you crossed the finish line?
Oh man, I have no idea, man. Because my whole thing was, yo, let me try to finish before sunset. And
Mhm.
by the time I got to Central Park, it was dark.
Oh,
So,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
ask
that's
you.
cool.
Can I ask you a question, man? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
how did you like decide? Like, what made you want to like create this entire platform
Mhm.
surrounding running? And I see that you have a fast sneaker collection behind you.
Yeah.
Like, what were you like a sneakerhead before and kind of transition into running, or was it the other way around? And what made you wanted to like invest so much of your time and energy into building a YouTube community?
Yeah. So I've always had like a need to do something creative, right? Like, and like it's changed as technology has changed. So like early on, it was like I liked writing, then I liked blogs. I did like like digital photography. I'm old enough where like I remember like the first digital cameras that were affordable by like regular humans. So I'm like, that came out and I was like, oh, I could take as many pictures as I want. I don't have to get the film developed. It doesn't cost extra, like, so I'm doing all this other stuff. And like, there are always kind of like things that I did. I heard, got home from work and I would do these things, and so like making videos was one of those. And it wasn't always running videos at first, but eventually I like in the time when like everyone was daily vlogging, I was also daily vlogging and like, you're just starved for like, what am I going to talk about today? And so I started running again. Running has always been kind of in and out of my life. And I started filming the running and I enjoyed filming the running. And people like resonated with that the most of all the other variety of things that I was making videos about. And so I kind of like, well, I like it. People seem to like it. So let's keep making more videos about it. And then I also like, I'm like a huge like tech YouTube junkie. So like anything talking about phones and computers or TVs or whatever, I'll watch those. And so like shoes and like someone that loves watching like what's like the next Samsung phone or the next iPhone that's coming out, like put those things together and you got like shoe reviews. So that's kind of how that kind of happened. And then like over the pandemic, I had to shut down my business. And then I was like, well, I don't really want another job. And this
What
is
kind of business were you operating before the pandemic?
it was a litigation consulting business. So I went to
Oh
law
wow.
school and then we were helping attorneys like in the courtroom. So like, well, mostly with the audio visuals and technology. And so we were helping with that. And like, courtrooms were closed for a long time. They weren't going to come back for a long time. So we just shut it down. And then, yeah. So then I was like, well, I'll spend more time with the family. My wife was still working and then kind of do this on the side. And then it kind of blew up and even more. And so now I'm like, well, this is not really a side job anymore. And kind of that's how we're here. Now we're out in the suburbs and I'm like, all right, I'm taking over the basement. Now we got some space. I'm making a set, so that's it just kind of it escalated kind of quickly, but over the last 6 years.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. I'm sure your community have heard it over and over again, so they were probably like, "Ah, here we go again."
Well,
Like,
I think they've heard parts of it. So
okay,
like but it's always it depends on which video they watch or which live stream they tune into. So
100%. Yeah, I mean that's the thing with social, right? Because a lot of the content that we put out there is not like it's not like we're putting out a manifesto where everybody checks in on. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So you just
Yeah,
gotta constantly remind people. It's like every 6 months I gotta remind people that this is my real voice.
I think that's one of the funniest kind of recurring themes on your channel is people will get in there and be like, "Yo, why is this guy talking like that? For real?
Right.
That's like just talk for real." And then
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
my favorite is that you'll call your mom,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and and then your mom will be like, "What do you mean this is not how you normally talk? This is how you normally talk."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so now that you're doing this full time, like what are
Mhm.
some like challenges that you're like facing?
Yeah, I mean, the challenges that I'm at now are kind of like I have attention of brands. Like before it was just like, I wish someone would send me some shoes. And now I'm like, I got shoes. Like I'm good. Like, can we talk about which shoes you're sending me? Cause I can't review them all now. And so like I have the attention to brands. I'm doing jobs with them and stuff. But now it's kind of like, uh, I don't want like bigger jobs isn't the right word, but I'm trying to figure out like, how can we make this more than like a shoe unboxing. Not that I don't like shoe unboxings. I love shoe unboxings. But like, how can we do stuff that's more interesting than that? Like, how do we create interesting experiences for people to understand more about the brand, but also like more understand about like running culture too? And how can we bring those two things together? So like, the hardest thing I have now is like, I don't have an agent, and I'm not even sure having an agent would like solve my problems. But
I don't
like,
think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of like, all right, I got this thing. It'll probably cost the brand like X amount of money to execute. It'll cost me this much time to execute. Like when do I pitch it? Who do I pitch it to? Those kinds of things. That's kind of like where my bumping point is. Cause I'm like, all right, I got a couple of people that I like to work with. We can maybe collab. We have different subsets of the community that we touch, and this could be fun. But I'm like, all right, I think a lot of these budget conversations at the brands happen in like October, November. I always don't have my ideas ready by October, November. And I'm also thinking like, do I need the brand for these ideas? I'm like, so I self fund and then try to get sponsorship to pay for, here's this thing that we did, so like financing things that cost more than like a weekend of time, like is the kinds of things that I'm like trying to figure out how to do now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like a lot of the language that we speak is we're speaking the same language. I mean, the fact that you're even sharing all of these thoughts and concerns in front of, like, out in the open, the transparency like part, I feel like we agree with 100%. Your community knows about it, and I feel like your community will be, even if anything, more invested because you're so transparent about where you are, the growing pains of.
Guys, I think we lost Jakey. Not sure. I don't know. Maybe his phone died, but it was just getting good. Erica Davis says, yes, I love that the guest pulled an Uno reverse card. Is doing the interview now. All right, here we go. We got him back.
Sorry. Hey, there you go. I don't know. I just got bumped. I just got kicked out of it for some reason.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So yeah, I was just saying that I think the fact that you're so transparent is one of the winning formulas of being a great creator. And I think now that you're at a point where you started off something that was small yet magical, now is at a point where you want to scale. Yeah, and I think this is like a concern that a lot of creators go through, right? Like, but I think one thing is for sure, that what you built is not you being an individual creator. You're in the process of building a platform, right?
Okay.
Because before, like, these digital media publishing companies were the conduit between the brands and the audience. Now, these digital media publishing companies, whether it's Vice filing for bankruptcy or BuzzFeed cutting pretty much like a quarter of their staff, these are all things that are happening because the brands don't really need these conduits anymore, right? Whereas creators like yourself are directly communicating and reaching and building a robust community. So yeah, I'm interested to see, like, if there's any things that I could share with you from all the learnings that I've acquired, and if there's anything that I could do to help to further amplify your message, because you always show up for me. You know what I mean? Like, so I just want to reciprocate that love.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll be sure to reach out. Because you have a lot of experience on some other facets of the business where I'm just like, I could figure it out, but like it'd be easier to, just reach out to a friend, and hopefully we can make through things a little bit smoother.
100%, man. I also don't want to like bore your audience to death by talking about like creator economy.
No, that's the whole thing. That like on Thursdays when I bring people over, it's people that are in this space, but also have YouTube channels, Instagram. So like it's easier to talk to them because like, they usually have availability at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday. But also it's like, I find like it's a nice niche for people to get like a little bit of kind of like the behind the scenes of what goes on into like having these kinds of, channels, whether it's a YouTube channel or an Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. So the people that are here for it,
Totally. What do you usually do with all the sneakers that you end up like running once or twice in? Like, do you donate it? Like, what do you do with it?
Yeah. So like now that we got space, I put them up on the wall. But when we had a little condo in Chicago, I have a nephew who's the same shoe size as me, so I would just give them all to him.
Yo.
So he's got like my sister-in-law would tell me like he just has them in like a couple of giant garbage bags in the basement, and like every morning he'll just go down and like be like, "This is the shoes I'm wearing today." So like the supply has dried up a little bit because I've been, saving them a little now, but also like it's only a matter of time till he's 11 and he's the same size as me. So like the kids are big and like taller in that family. So like I think that like, it's good timing because I don't think he's going to be a size 9 shoe for that much longer.
I mean, shit, you're a size 9. You got the golden feet, my guy.
Exactly.
That's the sample size.
Well, here's the thing. So I'm like, I tell people all the time, like all my life, I thought I was cursed by being exceedingly average, but now I review products. And so now I'm Mr. Average. I'm the perfect person for reviewing 100%. Things because I'm sample size, I'm medium, like I'm like 30, 38 or 40 suit size. Like everything just fits me off the rack. So like the averageness finally is an asset, So.
No, man. See, there's, we always got to approach things with a cup that is still empty mentality, man. We got to approach things in a mentality of abundance, man. I like that, man. Because I got a big ass head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my head is fucking gigantic, son. Like this is one of the few bucket hat like silhouettes that actually fit my head. So like I also got a big torso, so like I need to get stuff in XL, like, and I'm also kind of getting a little big because of all the food that I've been consuming. So yeah, man, no, that's good to hear. So I mean, how does your immediate family, as in like your wife and your seed, like how do they, like, what is their perception on what you do for a living now?
Yeah. So my wife has always kind of left it as like, that's his space, so she's very, very patient, but she's seen me through like all the other kind of like media that I've liked playing with, whether it's writing or photography or whatever it was. And so she like, for her, it's just like, this is what he feels like doing this time, So like, she gives me a lot of space to be able to be creative and she just always makes sure that I'm enjoying it still. And then for the kids, like my daughter just started running. Oh, we lost him again. Jay Brandon says, this is a Jakey podcast now. Here's what I think. I think his phone is overheating. That's what I think is going on. So we'll see if he come. Oh, here we go. We got him back.
Yo, sorry. I keep getting.
It's okay. I think
don't know what's going on.
I wonder if your phone's getting overheated.
Oh, is that what it is?
Maybe. But I'll just end with this. Like for my kids, my daughter just started doing junior high school track, and so like now she's like, oh, my dad knows about this. So like his all this running is useful to me now, which before like she likes the videos. She thought that they're, that's cool that my dad does that, but she doesn't like go telling all her friends that's like, oh, my dad's a YouTuber or anything. And same with my younger daughter too. She's just like, my dad makes videos on YouTube, and it's just like, that's what, different dads do different things. This one makes videos on YouTube. And for them, it's not weird, but I'm sure for like all of her friends, they're like, your dad does what? So
that's super cool, man. Well, sorry that there's technical difficulties and also being tardy to your podcast, but not podcast, but I guess live. So but I would love to do this again if
I would love to have you back.
Yeah, and I would like to be a little bit more prepared. Like I'm obviously not the most tech proficient, so I think I was trying to figure things out. But appreciate you for having me, man. Really appreciate you for everything that you do. And like I said, if there's anything I could do to help, please let me know.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thanks everybody for having Jakey here. Jakey, why don't you hold on for a second because it like your feed has to finish uploading. So I'm going to take you off the screen, but just hang out for a minute and I'll wrap up here and then we'll chat for a second.
Much love to the audience.
All right.
The Kofuzi squad. Peace.
Yes. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks, Jakey, for joining us for today. That was an amazing conversation. I know I've been trying to keep the program a little bit shorter, keep it a little bit more tight, but You know, that was such a good conversation. I had no idea how to cut it short. So the good news is it sounds like Jakey will want to come back. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again soon. Tomorrow, I finally have a video. I got that collab portion done, filmed today. I'll edit it tonight. We'll get a video tomorrow on a new trail shoe. And then we'll do one more live stream, same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully you'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.